Hello, hello. Good morning, folks. It's a good morning for me here. Um, it's around 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I'm sure some people it's already afternoon, people in Australia is night and all that. Um, but yes, you're welcome on the show today. My name is Betty Small. My page is Learn and Grow with Betty Small. You guys will see there's a link posted over there if you want to check out my page. Um, I am privileged to be here once again on Amma Manson Show. Oh, this is not her show. This is Amma Manson Network. As you guys can notice, we've been having different people coming here and showcasing different subjects. Um, so we appreciate Sister Amma for giving us this space so that we can all learn, grow, inspire each other in this life. So today we are going to be talking about mindful and conscious eating. Okay. As you guys know, I'm a nurse, I work in healthcare, and for some reason, I have a bias towards, health and wellness and all that good stuff. And of course, I myself, I'm in a journey of living a more healthy life, losing weight, and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, that's one of the things that I talk about on my page, Learn and Grow with Betty Small. So if you can, give me a chance and check me out over on that side. Okay. If you don't see me here, you can check me out on my page. So let's get this started. Please, guys, feel free to comment um, as we go. If you have any questions, I don't come here as a know-it-all person, but I like to share the knowledge that I have, things that have helped me, things that I've shared with other people that have helped them. And so hopefully you can find something here that can also inspire you to do better in your life. Okay, especially when it comes to mindful and conscious and health eating. Okay, because the bottom line is we have one body to live in for the whole of our life, however that long life is. You know, it is obvious that one day we will all die. Do we know that day? No, we don't. So we have to be mindful and take care of the bodies that we have at the moment so that these bodies can carry us through the lifetime that we'll have here on earth. Okay. And because we don't know how long that is, I think it's better to err on the side of caution and do all that you can within your power to make sure that you're in good health so that you can enjoy the life that you have here on earth until you get called home. Okay. So yes, that has been my motto. The fact that I don't have another body, I can't go purchase another body. I'm sure there's rich folks out there who maybe at their end of life um, maybe wish they could use all the money that they have to exchange and get a different body, but of course they can't. So we have to be mindful and careful and guardians of the body that God has given us. And that doesn't mean that I'm here to um I'm not here to show like I'm better than anyone else. I'm just here to share information that hopefully you find it useful or it will trigger something in your brain so that you can evaluate yourself and check out your systems and ask yourself, is what I'm doing helpful in my health? Is what I'm doing helpful in the long run in terms of taking care of my health? Okay. So today, we are talking about mindful and conscious eating. Okay. So, why do I call it mindful and conscious eating? So, you realize that in life, there are things that we do on autopilot. We don't even pay much attention or mind to what we're doing. We just kind of do them because we are so used to doing them every day that they become part of us. I'm talking about things like, when you wake up, either you jump in the shower, brush your teeth, wash your face, get dressed up. For those who like coffee, get a cup of coffee. For those who like just to have some quiet time and do maybe yoga, some meditation and stuff like that. Yeah, so there's so many things that we do on autopilot and we don't even think about it. And some are good habits that can benefit us at the overall, and some are bad habits that we need to cut off, whether it's in your health, whether it's in your career, whether it's in your finances, whether it's in your relationships. There are bad habits that we need to prune off because they don't do us good at the end of the day. But in this case today, we're just going to talk about how we can be mindful around our food and what we eat. Because, like I say, it, it counts to what it does to our body at the end of the day and the bodies that we have. And that determines whether we are going to be in good health to do the good things that we want to do in life, travel and take care of our families and do the things that we love. Or are you going to be going in and out of the hospital? Are you going to be bedridden somewhere because, you can't travel? Are you going to be on dialysis and you can't have a normal life because you have to go to dialysis on certain days, stuff like that. So you have to start being conscious of the decisions that, let me drink a little bit of water, sorry. It's early morning. Of course, I haven't had anything to eat or breakfast or anything, so my throat is a little rusty. Give me a second. Yeah, and don't forget I practice intermittent fasting, so it's not time for me to put anything in my mouth yet. So my throat is kind of dry, but thank you. So yeah, so I'm just saying like we have to be conscious and mindful of the things that we put in our bodies because at the end of the day, they're either going to do good to us or do harm to us. So it's your choice, okay? And these little everyday habits, good or bad, are going to affect you in the long run, whether you like it or not. So you have a choice, a tough choice, to start making good choices, um, practicing the good habits, and try to get rid of those bad habits that will cost you at the end of the day. Okay. It's not fun, I'm sure. I know. I am not the messenger of doom, but I'm here to create hope for tomorrow. And for us to create hope for tomorrow, we have to start doing better today. Today, when you find out what is the right thing to do, you start working on it right away instead of waiting for tomorrow. Okay, because tomorrow never comes. There's never a day on the calendar called tomorrow. We call it tomorrow, but or someday in the future, but there's never a day that is called someday. So today, when you get the message, when it clicks in your head, go ahead, do the right thing. Okay. So, how do you become a mindful and conscious eater? Okay. It takes intention. Okay. First of all, you have to have had a mindset shift to know that it's important to eat right. Okay. It's important to exercise. What you put in your body has an effect at the end of the day. You have to have had that just mindset adjustment, first of all. Now, second, then you start asking yourself, if I need that better body for now and for later, what it is that I can do. And that causes you to start being mindful in everything that you eat, in everything that you put in your body. So, like for example, let's start with um, the marketers. So you go to the store, front, right, and center, whatever item that they are selling, um, if they're looking to make promotions and something like that, as soon as you enter the store, you're going to see those items sitting right there, right in front of you. And it's worse for me, especially when I go with my daughter and she sees, you know, something, like they'll put sweet stuff, especially sweet stuff at the front. And she's like, Mommy, I want this. And I'm like, first of all, we don't have that on the list. Second of all, we don't have to buy it because you just saw it. Okay. Let's try to go by the list. And if it's absolutely necessary that you want a piece of that item, then we can think about it. Okay. So, yeah, they try to put those items front, right, and center so that even if you were not thinking of buying it, just the look of it and sometimes the smell of it will compel you to buying items that you were not even thinking of buying. They were not on your list even remotely. So you have to be mindful when you go to the store. Okay. Um, One habit that I've have adapted over time. I used to be one of those people that will go to the store without a list. you know, I didn't used to have a grocery list. So I would just go like, oh yeah, I know what I need to get. I need milk, I need water, I need blah blah blah. And so I know like I'll just stop here, grab this, go to the next aisle, grab this and all that. But the problem is when you go to the store without a grocery list, guess what's gonna happen? Yes, you may end up picking up the items that you need, but there's a possibility that you probably going to be some items that you needed because you didn't write it down and because it didn't come to your memory. You're going to walk out of that store without that item. And secondly, you're probably going to be buying items that you saw on the shelf that were looking good, not because you need them, but because they're just displayed there and they look good or they smell good and you're hungry. Oh, the other thing is don't go to the store when you're hungry. Okay, because when you go to the store or even if it's a restaurant when you're hungry, you're most likely just you're going to go for everything. It's amazing actually. When I first came here to America, I noticed when people go to the store, sometimes people are so hungry, like they'll grab an item from the shelf, and before they can actually pay for it, on their way to the cash register, they'll probably have just munched and emptied the container of whatever they were eating, maybe a muffin or a bag of chips or whatever. They'll literally finish eating that time before they get to the cash register. And then when they get to the cash register, they're like, hey, cashier, here, can you scan this? Because I already ate it. I mean, for those who are truthful enough to acknowledge that they actually ate something and don't want to pay for it. So they will eat it. By the time they get to the cash register, all they are giving the cashier is like, here is the bag. Can you scan it for me? I found that to be so weird, like how are you gonna be eating before you actually pay for the item? But I guess it's American culture and they let them do it, as long as you pay for it. So this is the things I'm talking about, like being conscious and mindful. So you don't want to go to the store while you're hungry. You want to make sure that you have your list before you go so that you're not picking any random items. Also, you have to be mindful when you walk into the store, the things that are displayed, do you actually need them or do they just look good? And there are those who give samples, by the way. I like to go to Costco. For those of you who are familiar, it's one of those chain stores, the big superstores that you buy items in big quantities. Okay, so there are items that I specifically go there for, and then I'll go to the farmers market for the other items. So in this Costco, they have aisles where they have the salespeople have items on display, and then they have some that are opened and they will give you in small containers if it's something that is eatable, you know whatever it is, they'll give you so that you can taste it. And then of course they will tell you, you like it, okay. They have it very conveniently right next to them, so that if you eat it, you like it, you're most likely to grab it and put it on your cart, even though you didn't have it on your grocery list and you didn't really even know about the item. And honestly, you may not even care about it after that test that they gave you at the store, you know. So we have to be mindful of that. So before, I used to like the idea, like, let me stop here and taste this. And then you go to the next aisle, somebody else is displaying something else and you taste it. And so, guys, forgive me, my ears are a little itchy. I have a cold coming in, so my throat and my ears are a little itchy. So I feel like itchy. Forgive me if I put my hands over there. So yeah, you end up testing, having the little testers that they're having on the aisles, and you end up purchasing the item that you were not even having on your, you didn't even have on your list, and you don't honestly necessarily care about that item. Once in a while, you may come across an item that you test and you're like, yummy, and you fall in love with it and it's something that works for you. But in most cases, it's just marketing and sales strategies. So, what am I talking about that? The other thing actually that has helped me with intermittent fasting, I don't even dare go close to those people. Okay. I literally go with my list. And since I've mastered that particular store where the items are, I just go, zoop, 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 zoop. I pick up whatever I need to pick and I go. And they will try to get your attention, like, ma'am, you want to try this? Ma'am, you want to try this? I'm like, no, thank you. Because for one, I'm getting rid of the habit of constantly trying to put something in my mouth, mindlessly eating. Because every time I'm putting something in my mouth, guess what? I'm producing insulin. And then at the end of the day, this is going to affect my health in terms of blood, having too much blood sugar in the system, and therefore leading to diabetes at the end of the day. So no, I don't subscribe to them offering me anything to eat. Okay. And yeah, I'm very strategic in how I shop. I make my turns, and I try to stay away from the aisles where they are packed and doing their sales, because I don't want to get any temptation. So that is like going to, we're talking about like going shopping. Okay. We also have, like, when you go to a restaurant, you you may go to a restaurant whereby, like, you guys have seen like the Italian restaurants. I've seen like, what they call it, not golden corral, Italian. It's an Italian restaurant, Olive Garden. So differentiate an Olive Garden with, say, Five Guys. So these two restaurants are different in the sense that when you go to Olive Garden, you're gonna find a different ambience from when you go to like Five Guys. So Five Guys are, a fast food restaurant. They do like fries and burgers and stuff like that. While Olive Garden on the other side, they do like, pasta, salad, stuff like that. So it's like a dinner place kind of a thing like that. So I noticed, like, when you go to somewhere like Olive Garden, they'll have like a nice, quiet ambience to it. If they're playing music in the background, it's gonna be nice and soft. And even the lighting is not harsh. It's just nice and dim, you know. And even when you sit down to have a meal with family, it's just conducive. You are enjoying the light music as well as the lighting. It's not disturbing and all that. And the servers are very, very friendly. Now, on the other side, if you go to a place like the Five Guys, you hear loud music. The lights are normally very bright. And these two differences have something to do with how we also consume our food. So if you're in a, like Olive Garden, the quiet ambience and the lighting and all that, and the soft music in the back will kind of allow your mind to relax, so you can eat slowly, and so you can also enjoy the conversation with the family members that you're with. Now, on the other hand, if you went to like Five Guys to get something to eat, that loud music and the lighting and all that, it tends to do something to the brain, in that it's possible that you find people eating faster in a fast food restaurant as compared to a place like Olive Garden. Maybe you can experiment that and see. And I'm not, these are just random restaurants that I'm mentioning. You can try out different high-end restaurants and something like a fast food, and see the difference. Those are just like unconscious things that happen that we don't even realize. So you have to be mindful because sometimes when you're in an environment, it can trigger how much you're going to take in because you're not mindful of the circumstances and what's going on. Okay, so we've talked about um, the stores when you go to the supermarkets and the display of the items. We've talked about like the restaurants and the kind of ambience that they provide. The other thing that the restaurants do, which is very funny though, the kind of descriptive words that they use in selling a certain particular food item can make a whole difference whether somebody is gonna even like the food or even want to order it. Okay. So somebody can just say, something like a fish fillet with broccoli. Okay. But on the other hand, they may use words like, say, succulent Italian fish fillet. It's the same item, but because they have used more descriptive words and it makes it sound more juicy, people will tend to buy it, you know, even though like they didn't really care about it, but because the descriptive words sound so good and juicy, then you just want to give it a try. So those are some of the things you have to be mindful about. The other thing that we have to be mindful about is whether you're in the restaurant or whether you're at home or whether you're visiting somewhere. I know some places you may not have control of the size of plates or containers that you're using to eat. But at least when you're at home, you can be more mindful and conscious about that because the bigger the plate you grab, the more chance that you're going to be filling it up. And the chances are that you're going to be trying to finish all that food. On the other hand, the smaller a plate you use or the smaller a bowl you use, chances are, even if you fill it up, you may not finish it because your brain is going to tell you, this is too full, I may not finish it. So there's something that has to do with the eyes and the brain communicating in terms of portion sizes. So for me, I used to have some big, dinner plates. So like personally, I went and got smaller dinner plates. And this was just for me initially because I'm like, I have to be in control of how much that I'm eating. And sometimes you mindlessly fill the plate and you don't realize it if that even if you're full, your brain is telling you, I need to finish what's on the plate. Okay, even though it's more than what you need. But on the other hand, if you get a smaller plate or a smaller bowl, even if you feel it, your brain is somehow going to tell you this is too full. So it's going to start talking to itself like you don't have to eat all of it. And even if you eat all of it, at least you'll know the quantity is not the same as what would have gone in the bigger plate. Okay, so you have to start playing with your mind in terms of the size of container, plates, dinner bowls that you're using, um, and adjust your portion sizes accordingly. Okay, sometimes if you're visiting, if you have the liberty of serving yourself, it's okay. Don't feel bad if people you've been given a big plate. Don't feel bad that you don't feel obligated that you have to fill that plate. Give yourself grace and use the plate to your advantage. So just take what you need. You don't have to fill it up just because it's a big plate. Whether you're at home or you're visiting, if you have the liberty to serve yourself, be mindful of that. Okay. The other thing is that you cannot rely on social cues. So you say you are sitting in a restaurant or at say maybe even at a dinner table eating with other people. You have to learn to pace yourself. Don't go with the pace of other people because people are different. People are not necessarily maybe mindful about their eating as you are, but because you have made a choice, because you have made because you want to make a difference in your life, and you have made a choice to eat differently and do different with your life, then you have to be mindful. Don't be worried about the other people that are sitting at the table with you, or they are in a restaurant with you, because they're not in the same walk and journey as you. So worry about you. Don't worry about so and so, what they put on their plate. Are they going to eat all that? Blah, 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 blah. No. Shift gears and focus on you. What is your goal? Those little good habits that you've tried to put in place in terms of your eating habits, let them come into play at that time. Do not worry about what other people are doing with their plates and their foods. Okay, take your judgment away. Nobody needs your judgment, especially when it's eating time, because guess what? You were probably in the same shoes at one point. Okay, and somebody else was looking at you and wondering, what is wrong with that person? Okay, so be gracious to them, because their light bulb has not come on. And one day when their light bulb comes on, hopefully they'll do better. So don't worry about what other people are doing, or what they're putting on their plate, or how they're eating, or how many seconds they've gone for, or um, how much carbohydrates they're having in their plate. That's none of your business. If somebody asks you something and you feel like it's appropriate and the right time and place to say it, then you can say something. But otherwise, mind your own plate, mind your own food. Be very conscious about it. Okay, don't worry about what other people are eating and what they're doing with their food. The other thing is, you want to be mindful and not eat, like put your energy and focus to what you're eating, and don't like eat and watch TV, or eat and be typing and doing stuff on the computer. Sometimes we eat and go. I used to have that habit of eating on the go. It's something I'm working to eliminate, because when you're eating and going, you're not even paying attention to how much you're eating, or even the communication between your stomach and your brain that, hey, I'm full. You know, it does take at least 20 minutes for your digestive system to tell your brain that you are full. So what happens within these 20 minutes between, you being full and the digestive system telling your brain that you're full? Guess what you're going to be doing most likely? Eating more food. So that is why it is important to slow down your eating, take bites and chew and chew. I think I talked about this, the idea of taking your time while you chew. You chew and you chew and you chew, until you know that you have chewed all your food again, then you swallow. So the slowing down and the taking time between the bites, it gives time for the stomach to fill up and essentially communicate to the brain that, hey, we are full. Okay. And these are things that you can just practice. They don't come to you automatically, I promise you. You have to be conscious about it. You have to be mindful about it, because in most cases, research has shown that people will have lunch in 11 minutes. So if you have a 30-minute break, assuming, okay, by the time, for those who clock in and out, by the time you clock out for lunch, okay, either go use the bathroom. By the time you go to the break room, you either find somebody else is warming food. So you're kind of waiting for that person to warm up the food and get done, and then you can warm yours up. Okay, by the time you warm your food up and you sit down, it's most likely possible that 10, 15 minutes will be over. So guess what you have? You have another 15 minutes to eat, wrap up, clean up, and put your stuff away and clock back in. So research has shown that people will eat in about 11 minutes, and they're just kind of like, shh, And that is not good for our body, is not good for our digestive system, because the juices, some of the juices that you should have gotten in your mouth so it can go down with the food to help finish the digestion process, it doesn't get that, because you're just kind of like yum 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 yum, and then you find that, like in a break room, you find that as you're eating, there are people talking, having conversations, and blah 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 blah. So we're not even like mindful of what you're eating. Are you even enjoying that food? How does it taste? And just using those cues to tell you that, how is the food going, good or not? Do you like the taste? Do you like the textures in the food? What kind of nutrients do you think they're in that food? So yeah, we have to be mindful of how fast we eat our food, and just kind of slow it down and chew as much as you can before you swallow, because that then gives the digestive system time to communicate to your brain and tell you that you're full. Okay. I haven't seen any comments so far. I can't tell if there's anybody online, but I hope that there's somebody here keeping me company, and that what we are sharing today will be hopefully helpful and inspiring to somebody to make some changes, slight changes. And that's another thing actually I was going to talk about. Don't feel pressured to do all these things that we are talking about in one time. Hey, Yafi, how are you? Welcome, welcome. Don't feel the pressure to make all changes at one time. Research has shown that people who try to do so much change, so many changes within a very short time, most likely they're not going to be successful in all of them. And if they do, maybe one or maybe none at all. If you want to be successful with the changes that you introduce in your life, you want to go one at a time and give yourself to master that, and then do it in increments. But if you try to bombard yourself with so much change at one time, your body, your whole self is going to say, your brain is going to say, I can't do this. I cannot do this. You guys know what I'm talking about. So introduce, I'm doing well. Thank you. Thank you for joining. Introduce one item at a time. Okay. Be conscious and mindful of one thing at a time. As you master that one item, introduce another. If you're if you're starting with being conscious of how much food you're eating in your plate, and you want to reduce the size of your plate and your bowl, start with that and see how well you're doing with that. And let your brain, let the signal from your tummy to your brain tell you that you're actually full, without going for that second or third serving. So attempt it for 7 days, 14 days, 21 days, and see how you're doing with that. And with time, once you feel like it has become a part of you, then introduce something else. But don't bombard yourself with so much change, because then you're going to be frustrated, and the step that you would have taken forward, guess what you're going to do? You're going to go right back into your comfort zone, and then you're going to say, I can't do this. This is for special people. There's nothing special for anybody out there. Anyone can do anything they want to do. You just want to be able to put your mind into it and do the work. I don't care what it is. You have to put some work. If you think like you're just going to wake up overnight, or you're this special super person that is going to introduce all these changes, and you're just going to be like, if you can, well and good for you. But research has shown us that you got to make small changes, small increments over time. That success rate has been proven, compared to people who hit themselves with so many things at one time. Drink some water. Um, The other thing is, so like when you go to the store, I don't think I mentioned it earlier, but you'll find like they have these sales. Sometimes they will tell you, oh, if you buy one, you get two free, or if you buy two, you get one free. Um, or sometimes they'll tell you, stuff like that. Like they want to give you something extra on top of what you need. Okay. Or they sell items in these big packages. Like, for example, like I say, for me, I like to go to Costco. There are some things like I cannot just go to a regular store or supermarket because it's not cost effective for me. And these are mostly like, say, household items. But when it comes to like food items, I like to go to a farmer's market because then I can pick and choose the quantity that I want. But in the big stores, sometimes you end up purchasing items that the quantity is too much more than you need, and you kind of tell yourself, oh, you know, you're getting a deal because they're telling you get three for the price of two, and you're like, oh yeah, that's a really good deal. But when you go home, you realize you actually don't need the three packages. You probably don't even need the two packages. All you need is one package. You know what I mean? So guess what happens? At the end of the day, maybe that item will sit on the fridge or on the shelf for a long time, and then you just end up throwing it away. The deal with going to the big stores is if you're gonna go to the big store and buy the big packaged items, then you wanna come home and repackage those into smaller containers, smaller packages as soon as you get home, because the tendency is when you leave it sitting in that big container, you probably use it once, twice, then you probably end up forgetting. Unless you're very good in managing the big containers and they're not items that are perishable. But for perishable items, if you're going to buy them in large quantities and you really feel like that is important for you, then when you get home, just try to portion them in smaller sizes, and if it's something that needs to be frozen, freeze it. But otherwise, please don't go for the sales, for the buy two get one free, buy whatever it is. They always try to have these sales whereby they'll try to get you to get more than you need. You have to be very conscious of that and mindful of that, so that you're only buying what you need. Because guess what also may happen? When you buy more than you need, guess what you're probably going to do? You're probably going to be cooking more than you need. And guess what you're going to do in return? You're going to be eating more than you need to. Yeah, I'm sorry to tell you that. I had to experiment this myself. you know, I realized that actually sometimes I'll cook one batch of food, and that food will take me, we can use it for a couple of days or maybe even 3 days. And I don't have to cook every day. So I can buy smaller packages, or if I want, I can buy the bigger ones and just portion them. But I just have to be mindful also of how much of that I'm cooking or I'm leaving out to be eaten, and it's so available. Because the more available it is, the more chances that you're just gonna be eating it. So be mindful of the sizes, the packages, and also how much you're bringing home. Because if you're bringing so much perishable food home, then most likely you're going to be telling yourself, oh, I need to cook this. And then you cook it and it's food available to you, and you're going to be eating it even when you don't need it. Unfortunately, we do stuff like that as human beings. Okay. The other thing is, yeah, this one is a biggie. The the all you can eat restaurants like Golden Corral and stuff like that. You guys know Golden Corral? I remember when I first brought my parents to America, and they were here for my graduation. So it wasn't on the graduation day, but it was just a different day, and I was driving them around. And so we were like, okay, I took them to the beach. We had a good day. And so I was like, yeah, let's go to eat. And they're like, are we going all the way home? I said, no, no, no. We're just going to go to the restaurant here and have something to eat because we had something else to do that afternoon. So we went to this Golden Corral restaurant. And so I told my mom and my dad, I say, you guys, I think I was with my then roommate, Lucy. If you get to see this at some point, you remember that day? So anyway, we went to have lunch and we sat down. And my dad is like, is the server gonna come attend to us? I'm like, Dad, over here, you don't need a server. All you need to do is grab a plate and go get whatever you want to eat. And so I kind of, gave them a little orientation on how we do it. And then we all stood up to go get something to eat. So as we were eating, I brought it to their attention. I said, look, in this restaurant, you are welcome to eat however much you want, anything you want to try out. You are more than welcome to try it because guess what? It's going to be the same price. It's not going to cost me anymore. My mother was like, what did you say? You mean anything? I mean, people can go for however many rounds they want for the same price. I say, yeah. So I just wanted to like an experience. My parents are not so crazy like about food like that, but I just wanted to give them an experience. So my mom then, because I'd already given her an orientation, so I said, "Mom, we're gonna start with the salad, and then you can go for a main course after that." So we went now for a main course, and she picked some items, and she was very careful in what she was picking because she's like, "Hey, I just don't want to be filling one plate and get full without giving myself an opportunity to try the different things, right?" So yeah, I told them to, kind of go slow, pick one item, go taste it and see how that feels. And so that is one experience that my mom went talking about, when she went back home, she was like, guys, do you know they have like an all you can eat restaurant and you you pay one price and you go back for so many servings. So I'm saying this story why? I'm saying because it's a good thing to have an all you can eat buffet. Once in a while it's a good treat. But the big thing with for me now, with the growth that I have, is to be very mindful when I'm going to all you can eat buffet. And what I try to do is I should if I'm going to go to a buffet, I'm already thinking in my head, this is what I'm gonna have so that when I'm going there, when I get in there, I'm not having to like look and get confused in my head and try to taste this and this and that and all that. So I'm very clear in my mind of what I need to have. And if for any reason I get sidetracked, you know how they come and empty their plate, like when you have your first serving and you push it to the side, you go for the second serving. I try, and I know this is crazy. I tell them, do not remove my plate. Why? Because I need that evidence to remind me of how much I've eaten so that somehow I can tell my brain, like, that is enough. But they're very good at emptying and getting rid of the plate with the evidence. And so you're not even thinking about it because you're like, go grab another one. They clean it up, go grab another one. They clean it up and stuff like that. So for me, consciously going ahead, I just tell them, don't remove my plate, leave it there. So if I'm going for a second one, I can come as I'm eating it, I can still look at that plate and be like, you already ate that. So do you actually need all that, all this food in front of you? So it's something that you can try, and see if it works for you. Um, but yeah, all you can eat buffets, they are good if you are really mindful and conscious of what you're eating. But at the same time, if you're not, it's very easy to go erratic and just be picking stuff right and left, eating. And then by the time you get home, you're frustrated and angry with yourself because you cannot believe that you actually ate all that much food. that you didn't actually need, you know. So yeah, so something to be mindful about, something you want to give a try if it works for you. Okay. Let me see if I forgot something. We talked about the grocery shopping, um, the fact not to be oblivious about what you're putting on your plate and what you're eating. Forget about the people that are sitting around you. Just mind about yourself and what is in your plate. Stop being judgmental because at one point you were that person that somebody was looking at and they're like, they can't even believe it. But now that you have growth, you feel like you're better. No, you're not. So be gracious to other people because they are not there yet. Okay. Alrighty. So anybody here? Anybody want to comment? Anybody got anything to say? Any questions maybe we can talk about other than Afi? It's hard for me to tell if there's anybody here. But yeah, guys, that is what I wanted to share with you guys today. The fact that we have to be very mindful and conscious of what we are eating, when we are eating, how we are eating it. Um, of course, I've talked about like the sugar, the salt, and the fats. I've already talked about intermittent fasting and the fasting hours and how that is beneficial to the body, especially for people that have diabetes, or even if you're trying to guard yourself against diabetes. So these are all things that, they intertwine with each other. They intertwine with each other. So once you start becoming conscious of one thing, then it spills over into another and into another and into another. And then you start kind of connecting the dots. And then at the end of the day, you can see it starts making sense. Okay. So, yeah, we got to be mindful. We got to be conscious about what we are eating, how we are eating it, what time we are eating it, what quantity we are eating. Um, I'm not sure if it's on this page or my page, but I think I've also talked about the effect of carbohydrates and the effect on what does that to your blood sugar. Um, yeah, so it's just to be mindful overall. We cannot just be doing things on autopilot and not being mindful of what it is that we are eating at what time, what effect that has to the body. Oh, yeah. One thing that I almost forgot about. Sometimes we are so obsessed with labels, you know, labels. Like, for example, we have the Coca-Cola soda. Some people are so obsessed with labels that they will tell you, I can drink a Coke, but I can't drink a Pepsi. I mean, it's almost the same ingredients in there. But just because it's a label, it's a Coca-Cola, they tend to sell it more compared to a Pepsi. And then, for example, this bottle here is 16 ounces, 16.9 ounces, right? You have to, if you want to drink a soda, that's fine, I don't care. But you have to be mindful of the serving size. Because, like, for example, a bottle of Coca Cola is usually 20 ounces. And 20 ounces, I believe it's about 2 to 2.5 servings. So if you're going to drink a bottle of soda, just be mindful that you're actually drinking almost two and a half sizes. So if you are mindful of the amount, then you don't, like when you buy a bigger container, chances are you're gonna be telling your brain is gonna be telling you need to drink the whole thing. It's kind of the same concept with bottles of water. Like they have this size and the other have the other smaller size. For the kids, it's for me, I like to do the smaller bottles because then their brain tells them, oh, I can actually finish this bottle of water. versus if you give them a big bottle of water like this, they're like, I can't even finish that. So there's something that has to do with the size of containers and bottle that we use and the serving size. So be gracious to yourself. Okay. If you're going to use a bigger bottle like this, just remember that one serving is probably a quarter of that bottle. Okay. So be mindful of that when you're buying a big bottle versus a small bottle. Tell your brain and ask yourself, do you actually need the whole bottle? Because when you get a whole bottle of soda, guess what? You most likely gonna make yourself finish it. So be mindful of that. Okay. All right, guys. It is what 10:54 now. I don't see any other comments other than Afi. Thank you, Afi. I appreciate you always coming here to support. I really hope that you find this helpful and you can start practicing some of these things. We owe it to ourselves. We owe it to our bodies. We owe it to our family members to do better. Like I say, you only have one body to live in. Do good to it, and it will be good to you. Do bad to it, and guess what? You get the same results of what you put in. So I urge you, I implore you to do better with your health. Eat better, you get better results. Be mindful of what you're putting in your mouth, what quantity, what amount, which is quantity, and what time. Do you actually need it? Ask yourself some of those questions before you jump on whatever item it is that you want to eat. Okay, guys. I hope you find this helpful. And if you do, please share in the comments and let me know. You're welcome to share this video. Please don't download the content because Amma will not be so happy. Leave the content in its own home. If you feel like you need to share this information with somebody else, you're welcome to share it. And check me out on my page, Learn and Grow with Betty Small. We have the link right there in the comments. Okay. You can come over there and we can continue talking about this and other subjects of interest that hopefully will inspire us and get on and help us to get on our path to living a better life. All right, guys, without further ado, we will call it a day and I will see you guys here on Thursday. Adios. Have a good day.